What's happening, people out in Internetville? This is Pete with Backdraft Bikes, and today we are looking at the 2022 Fat Bob. Stick around. Hey, I appreciate you supporting the channel. I do have some new merch in. If you want to wear one of these cool shirts and look spiffy while doing it and supporting a good cause, please check out the link in the description for our merchandise. All right, so here we are with the 2022 Fat Bob. This is definitely a unique bike that Harley makes, right? You probably know the Fat Bob because it has this weird looking headlight on it, right? You've seen that before. So you take a look at this bike and it's pretty much murdered out. It's got the 114 and it's a cool looking bike. Adjustable rear monoshock. Kind of the same suspension as a Sportster S as well. The bike weighs 675 pounds, has a seat height of 27.7 inches, and comes right shy of $20,000 if you decide that you're going to buy one of these as shown here. Not a huge fan of the styling of the pipes. I mean, it's like two fishing lures attached to the King's Scepter of gold. I think I would much rather see everything all blacked out, but again, aftermarket is king on these bikes, isn't it? So, you know, the bike's cool. It's a smaller package, got some really beefy tires on it, a 16-inch in the rear, 180/70, a 150/80 16 in the front. So very similar tire sizes. It gives the bike a very unique look. But we'll see about handling, because sometimes when you put these big fat tires on, even though it looks cool, your handling suffers. License plates hanging out to the side, and of course that nice chopped fender does look pretty slick. Hey, enough talk. Why don't we go ride it, shall we? Let's rock. Single cluster gauge, digital display on the bottom, the big tack, which is kind of cool. And of course the 114 tried and true power plant with Harley. This bike has a really unique riding position. Controls are slightly forward, but you're not slouched over like on the Street Bob. Visor down, let's get this on. Yeah, pretty good takeoff out of the back. Again, a lot of vibration in the handlebars on this thing though. Again, Harley's going after the street bike, street fighter in this model. Suspected it does wash a little bit with these tires. Not too bad holding the line, but not fantastic. You can really feel the difference in the bike because you really have to, you know, give weight to the handlebars to get it to go down, whereas the other bikes seem to just really want to roll down no problem. This bike has just a little different feel. It's still not bad, and the suspension is, you can feel the valving is much different, but it's a little on the stiff side. We'll explore that a little bit more coming up here. Dual front calipers are going to help the stopping situation. You run out of RPMs on these motors so fast at 5,500, the rev limiter just kicks in and tells you to stop. It's kind of crazy. The power band really never flattens off. It's really pronounced in some of the built motors that Screaming Eagle puts out. But this motor is not there's no slouching here either. I mean, it's pretty decent. 60 miles an hour, 2,000 RPMs, and you've got medium torque roll on. This motor seems to be geared a little bit more towards the 2,500 RPM range before the power starts to come in. I drove a Fat Bob the first year they came out, and I drove one a couple years ago, and it wasn't anything really to write home about, but it wasn't a total disappointment. I mean, it was a pretty good deal, and it feels to me like Harley's really refined this a lot. There's some nice, the ergonomics are much better on this bike. A little bit of vibe in the handlebars, but not bad. Again, inverted forks on the front, and the monoshock in the back, and the monoshock in the back is very easy to adjust, as you saw in the video before. There's just a knob right there. Got a hairpin right here. Yeah, see, it's difficult with these tires because the bike wants to plow. But the bike's no slouch. I mean, it definitely has some juice. Also, typical Harley, larger diameter hand grips. These are bigger. So, I'm not sure why they do that on some of their models. I like them. I like the smaller size diameter. I feel like it's just better handling, but I think the reason why they do it on this is because of stability and the fact that to get this bike to go, you really got to pitch it. It's not terrible. It's not awful. It's just a little bit of a different feel, especially if you had small hands. You'd find yourself really grasping to hold on if you were slinging into some corners. This bike weighs, again, 675 pounds, so it's not the heaviest bike out there, but it's definitely not the lightest. The sweet spot for power to weight ratio, you know, typically in the 5 to 550 pound range for a smaller motorcycle, is really going to give you the seat of the pants power feeling. Once you start getting over 550 to 600 pounds, you do lose a little bit of that efficiency. This bike isn't super heavy, especially in the Harley world. It's on the lighter side of their bikes, but it's not light compared to other bikes in this class. It's on the heavier side. And this bike, again, comes in just under $20,000, so it's an expensive bike when you think about the runners-up in the same category for what you're getting. It's expensive, but it's a Harley Davidson, you know, and you're paying for the name, but you're also paying for the V-twin sound and the rumble on a modern Street Fighter type chassis. So it's kind of a unique combination. You don't really have that option with many other manufacturers, right? All in all, the bike's pretty good. The suspension is medium of the road. It's not super stiff. It's not super plush. It's just kind of right in the middle. I would actually lean to say that this is on the softer side, believe it or not. It's not as harsh. The Sportster S has got to be the worst design suspension I've felt on a bike like Harley's putting out, and I asked the guy about it because this shares some of the same components, and I wanted to ask him, you know, what his thoughts were, and he said, oh no, this bike you'll like a little better because it's a little bit softer. And I have to say, he's right. He's right on the money. It is a little bit on the softer side, and I suppose I could play around with the monoshock in the rear and probably even make the ride quality a little bit better. But the front fork is pretty stiff. You know, and then that'll prevent a lot of the nosedive when you jam on the brakes hard. So I'm curious what the range would be on this with a 3.5 gallon tank. I'd want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 maybe miles. Maybe. Just depends on how efficient you drive. I'd probably lean closer towards the 120 for range. So smaller tank, you know, you'll you'll have to plan accordingly if you're going on a trip. I'm not sure this bike would be suited well for touring. It's a smaller, more compact platform. It definitely would get around town nicely, just like you know, cruising around, going on a drive. It is very comfortable. Again, I'm 6'4", so I'm not the smallest rider out there, and I'm not crunched by any stretch. I think maybe if you were like 6'1", you'd be the perfect size for this bike, and that's probably your average human being, right? For a guy's height. I would imagine too, anybody down to like the 5'6" mark would be able to ride this bike no problem, because the seat, like I said, the seat height is only 27 and change inches. It's really not that high as opposed to some of the other bikes out there. So yeah, bike really goes down the road nicely. It's not harsh at all. The first Fat Bob that I rode was pretty awful, suspension wise, and even, you know, forward backwards on the throttle. This bike seems quite refined for sure. Not really any creature comforts on this bike like cruise control or anything else, just very minimalist. It'd be cool if they made this without the gauge and they put like the Street Bob little tack on there, like the little box they have, because it'd be perfect on this thing. It'd fit right there. I do like the fact that I can see there's degrees on this bar, so you could roll it up and down to change probably the rake and also the rise on it. Cycling through, multifunction display gives you your typical mileage, your range, your time, your RPM digital tachometer, and obviously odometer. So on the range on this right now, it tells me I have 100 miles left and I have 3/4 of a tank. So I'd say 120 to 140 would probably be the range. That'd be my guess. My educated guess. We'll get over here to the old lady's house. We're going to turn in right now and we'll crack her open and see what she can do on the back stretch. Curious to see. Again, awesome bike. You're out in the wind. You're enjoying the ride. Super duper nice. As far as cornering goes, my heel is like on the ground when I'm making these corners, and that's also due to the size of my shoe, but the fact that you've got those slightly forward pegs. They're not really way forward, they're just slightly forward, so your heel's going to drag down. But it's got excellent torque and pickup right out of the gate. That's great. Not quite as fast as the Street Bob though, in my opinion. I think the Street Bob was the rocket ship of this category. I mean, that bike, wow. All right, here we come around the whole shot. This guy's going into the Willy Wonkers. Missed a shift there. Yeah. So not bad. Not great, but not bad. Definitely fast enough to get your heart going. And collision with a huge motorhome. Well, thanks for almost dying with me today. I appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Fat Bob, especially the 22 model. This is, you know, a little bit of refinements. It's a really nice bike. I enjoyed riding with you today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Thanks for subscribing. And as always, please ride safe.